Welcome to the Meant for More with Kristina Gazi, the only podcast that you need to make your life a masterpiece. And today we are talking about hot topic, AI for business, to start and to scale. Praveena, what is one thing you want every entrepreneur to know about starting and scaling business with AI?
I would want every entrepreneur to know that if you don't start leveraging AI today in your business or just experimenting with AI tools, um, you are going to not just be left behind, but the founders who actually start using AI and putting systems in place today, in 3 to 5 years, your business is going to look like a hobby to you. So basically, we are in the agentic AI era, and the agents are going to predominantly run most parts of your business. You're just going to have to show up as a human and do the human part of it. But yes, and if you're not going to be using AI today, you will be running a traditional business in 3 to 5 years.
Ooh, that's really controversial. I believe that if we will not start using AI right here, right now, we might be out of the business in 3 to 5 years' time.
Perhaps, yeah.
I definitely think that in terms of productivity, in terms of the quality of work, it will be increasingly impossible to compete with other businesses,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I feel like I think we'll be living in like a parallel universe with the people who actually use AI every day and in their business.
Very futuristic reality. Here we
Mm.
go. So, Praveena is a generative AI trainer and consultant, and she's going to help me to cover this topic today. Praveena, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Well, Christina, thank you so much for having me. Firstly, I'm Praveena and I'm a generative AI trainer and consultant. So I kind of became an AI trainer by accident. I actually stayed over my cousin's house, and she's a recruiter. And she was going to bed at like 11 or 12 every day. And I was like, why are you working so hard? Like, walk me through your workflow. And I realized she's a millennial and she's a professional, but she wasn't even she was using ChatGPT, but she wasn't optimizing AI. Like, she wasn't using the lead scraping tools, she wasn't using AI to build the content on LinkedIn. So, and because of that, she wasn't posting on LinkedIn, which is such an important element of her job. And then when I actually walked her through it, we actually managed to cut at least 3 to 5 hours a day from what she was doing. So
Right.
that was a bit of like a light bulb moment for me. And also, it's a general observation to see the growing divide of like the AI industry, Silicon Valley, to like the everyday non technical professionals and their AI literacy. So,
Exciting, crazy future, like 3 5 hours of work decreased. Amazing. So,
exactly.
yeah, I work a lot with early stage service based businesses. Someone working as a coach, health practitioner, wellness practitioner, trainer, educator, you name it. What has changed fundamentally for early stage entrepreneurs because of AI?
So, when you talk about service based business, I think it's important to know that this sort of like a business model, it relies a lot on perception and your personal brand. And I think a lot of founders kind of struggle in this space is like number one, introducing yourself the right way and trying to compete in a very, very crowded marketplace. So I think using AI as like your thinking partner to build a messaging around you and actually just telling the AI, hey, this is who I am, this is my personal story. like, how can I better position myself online, because it is a digital space that you're showing up in today. It's not like the face to face, like, human interaction, where it's easy. People get to feel your energy and then get magnetized to your business. But in a digital space, it's a very crowded marketplace. So how do you compete with the rest? That's where you use AI to be your thinking partner and then help you with all the first step, which is your personal brand.
Ooh, very hot topics, like one hot topic on one hot topic. Definitely for solopreneurs, personal, smart, strategic personal brand is not optional, it's a must.
Exactly.
I'm gonna play a bit of a devil's advocate here.
Go ahead.
When, yeah. So I do teach digital marketing visibility, and one of the resources we have is how to train your AI assistant, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever you use, Gemini, to become your really, let's say, thinking partner. And we have these 10 points which help our mentees to train their chat GPTs, and that includes share your personal story, share who you work with, share, what brought you to the industry, share your customers' reviews, like 20 points at least. What critics argue is that AI generated content is really generic.
It's
That
rarely generic.
it can still be very generic. It goes into the middle. One of my clients said, Kristina, I'm so tired. I see this AI generated content on LinkedIn. It puts me off.
Absolutely, yeah. And we are in a bit of like a flop, like, content stage, isn't it? Everything is like AI generated. Even the comments I see on, like, LinkedIn sometimes, like, this just sounds very AI. But yeah, it's really good thing to point out. I guess where is really important is, number one, something called the memory in your LLM. So yeah, so the memory function is quite important because, and you can turn it on and turn it off. But I think this is where the memory, like, function shines in your LLM. Depends on what LLM you're using. So for example, if you have, obviously we've all predominantly started with ChatGPT. If the memory function is open, it knows exactly how you are, your personality, your growth, your tone and style. You can nail that so well that it's going to sound just like you. And then if you want to take one step further, you can build, obviously, you can leverage custom GPTs. So custom GPTs are going to separate, the kind of output from, like, the general chat interface. So if you're using the general chat interface, chat GPT is not just going to look at your memory, but it's also going to look at the training sets. And the training sets comes from data from all over the internet, number one. Also, all the chats that everyone else is chatting with ChatGPT. So it's a bit ambiguous in that sense. But if you're going to build your custom GPT over time, it already understands your tone and style, who you are, your personality. There's a personality layer there. And then you feed it context in something called a knowledge base. So you're feeding it like your brand journey, your business story, every single thing. It's more tailored to that sense. So that's really where you see the difference, as opposed to, like, the normal surface level, like, generic chat, interface in, like, your LLMs.
Ooh, I love it. Definitely one thing I want to highlight what you said, memory, working memory.
Yes,
It's a game changer. So your
it
chat
is.
learn over the time. I also did a point to share my values, what I would do and I would never do in the business, what kind of words I'm using, and it's just like really not me. What kind of symbols I'm using, and that's not what I would do otherwise. And really putting the words I like, phrases I like, beliefs I had, I saw helped me a lot. Going back to your question, can you elaborate? Can you explain us what is a custom GPTs?
So custom GPT, how I would like, I think the best explanation is an LLM that's personalized to you, your business, or your content, your tone and style within the grander LLM, which is ChatGPT. And you can also build one on Gemini on, it's called Google Gems at this point. Gemini Gems. So custom GPT, yes, is having your own LLM. So you're training it with the kind of data that is personalized to you. So if you want to build like a content engine GPT, you're going to then feed it as much knowledge of all your past contents. So if
Yeah.
you're going to have like a year worth of newsletters that you already have, that's going to be a knowledge base. It's going to really analyze your tone and style, how you speak, which is a game changer as opposed to like a generic output from an LLM, from AI. So you're going to build that as your knowledge base, not just that, but you can also feed it like the kind of references that you like. Like for example, you can be like, hey, this is the kind of like thought leadership article that I really like and I really want to build my content around. So you feed it as much examples. You also feed it from like your past content, and then it's only going to generate the output using that knowledge base. And then also you prompt it in a way that I want you to think as someone who is an expert in this space. So for example, give it a role based prompt. You're an expert in this space and you're just going to give advice. Every single content that you're going to produce is going to sound like an expert evidence based advice to my potential clients, something like that.
Oh, definitely. I love this advice about the role play.
Hmm.
Something interesting I started doing as well, and I would love to hear your opinion on that. I do lots of trainings myself, and for example, I've learned this sales process based on the personality types, which is called DISK. So I taught my chat GPT this process. I'm like, I really like
Amazing.
it. I really use it a lot. Verify my piece of content based on what I taught you about sales based scripts on personalities. And it's doing pretty good
Amazing.
job.
Amazing. Yeah. It's really getting very creative with, I guess, prompting is just the way forward on how we're going to, really navigate this AI landscape. So, prompt engineering is the foundational skill that we need to have. But also, how creative can you get with your prompts is going to be a bit of a game changer as well. Like, for example, if you're going to use AI as your therapist, you might actually so how you're going to optimize using AI as a therapist is like, hey Cam, using like, can you use Carl Jung like framework and give me the right advice so I can actually see tangible changes in the future. So it's not just an advice that I'm going to like read and then forget about in the next day, but the AI is actually going to give me actionable steps that I can actually implement in my life. So it's really getting creative with your prompting.
Thank you. Just for someone who might not be aware with terminology, what is prompt engineering?
Prompt engineering is a way to communicate with machines. Essentially, we have to understand. Yeah, essentially, we have to understand this chatbot called ChatGPT or Claude is a pattern recognition machine. It's just stringing words together at the end of the day. So it obviously can't read your mind. It's not telepathic at this point. So the only way that you're going to get the kind of output you desire is something called prompt engineering. It's really just using words, but at the same time, feeding the machine the kind of context, the kind of task that you want. Your ideal scenario, you have to kind of break it down into what we call natural language, which is just words at the end of the day. break it down into natural language and feed the machine as a question. So why I would say like you know the reason why this is important is because I always say that AI is really intelligent. There's been some benchmark, it has surpassed human intelligence, but it's still an intern. It doesn't know, it still needs clear directions from you. So you need to give it the right directions. It's not going to give you the right output if you're not going to give it the context, you're not going to give it a role, you're not giving the task and the format that you actually want your output to look like.
Ooh, I love it. Couple of things you said here which made me, what? You're like, it cannot read your mind yet. Okay. That's
Yet.
that is looks like that is scary coming. What you highlighted is so important. You need to give a clear directions.
Absolutely.
And I see that for early stage entrepreneurs, having clarity is number one requirement to grow. If you
Exactly.
don't have clarity, even super smart, as you say, surpassed human intelligence chatbot will not help you.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's something that we don't really like, we're not very conscious of. It's something I feel like I even struggle with, that I have to take a step back, be clear with my goals, and then communicate it with the AI so it can actually help me at the end of the day.
Yes, I think something to highlight here is generic outputs will not grow your business.
Absolutely.
Step one is get clarity so you can produce prompts to get you results that you're looking for, right?
Exactly.
That's really good. And I believe that AI is leveraging the playing field for solopreneurs. Have you seen that there is this estimation that this year we're going to have like a first self-made millionaire, billionaire who is going to be solopreneur. Attention, ladies and gentlemen, solopreneur building his business, his own, I hope hers for once,
I know. Yeah. Why not?
building her business with AI,
Yeah.
right? Let's pause here. How realistic is that from your perspective? And what do you think that, solopreneur coach, solopreneur, any kind of
Mhm.
solopreneur should do to make that a reality in his, her business?
Really good question. So that prediction, I totally believe is extremely realistic. It's very real because it's if you get your agents. So the way you can actually achieve it is like you build like multiple agents. So you're gonna have like a marketing agent, you're gonna have a sales agent, like a traditional org chart in a business, and the agent can then accelerate and think about your goals and like execute everything for you like a real person running a business. To give you an example, we have like a voice AI agent, a real estate agent in a real estate company in Portugal that actually closed €100 million deal over the phone.
Wow.
And why does this happen? Is because number one, the AI agent can work around the clock. The AI agent has access to not just the web, but also it access to your website, it access to your company and your tone and style. And then it can actually speak to clients from all over the world despite the time difference, the time zone, which are kind of like our human limitations. If you're in Europe, then you're going to struggle like speaking to someone in like Asia or even US, but the AI agent can work around the clock, and it actually closed €100 million deal on over the phone. So this is the future. It's not really a hype. it will happen eventually. You will have a solo founder um, with $1 billion business with all AI agents as a team. And I think we will be seeing that. I think, to be honest, an estimation of like next year, because we're already in the AI agentic era.
Oh, wow, that's really exciting. Let's think about women in our community, and she's got a business community. Can you help us understand how, let's say, a solopreneur based in Asia can leverage on the AI agents this, like, let's say March, next month? What is available to us?
Okay, so I would say that before this, even in like last December, the agent hype, it was a hype. But then something called like Cloud Code like entered the market. It was a developer tool initially, and it was basically causing a lot of waves among the developers who are using it. And it was made to public. All of us, the women here, the solo entrepreneurs in Asia, all of us in February. And that is a game changer, because that is actually helping where I feel like before this, the automation tools were falling with the execution part. So the agent either like it depends on like the tokens and the computation issue. When you actually ask an agent to reply an email on your behalf, it could stall halfway because of API like updates and stuff like that. But custom GPT, and if you're going to build your agents with custom GPT, that actually like helps to remove all of that issue. It does that automatically. It really helps with the bugs, which is what the problem was with AI agents previously. So when the AI agents are working really smoothly, so think about it this way, Christina, you have multiple emails, but you just you have don't have the bandwidth to reply all these emails, to even get back to your clients. The AI agent is going to assess your entire chat with your clients and going to speak exactly like you and reply on your behalf autonomously. So that has already taken away the chunk. And then also think about like cold outreach. And now you don't have to think about like, even thinking of like a sales strategy, because the agent is going to do that for you. It's going to take one step further because it's going to know your business a bit better than you. And then it's going to reach out through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through traditional emails and stuff like that. So the agent era is a game changer this year. It's really new, but it's very real. Currently, I'm implementing for for a existing client an AI agent that's going to do media monitoring for them.
Okay.
So essentially, the team wakes up every morning and take at least like half an hour to an hour every morning to media monitor, for example, for like their banking client. And that's what they do every day. That takes away 1 hour from the team's time. Now you have the agent that's going to clock in at 7 a.m. every day and then do the monitoring part, and then also do an analysis and a report and send it to each team member's emails. And that's what we're working on currently.
That is pretty exciting.
It is, it's really.
When you were talking about AI agent sending messages on LinkedIn, sending emails, I will not lie, I had a bit of an anxiety. How do I know? What are they sending there? Especially if they are replying to the emails. I'm just share a bit piece here. I've noticed in the past like not 2 months, maybe a past month and a half, I'm using ChatGPT extensively. It's highly trained with my knowledge base, with my style. And I've noticed my ChatGPT got a bit of an attitude.
Really?
Yeah, it's before. I did not see that, but I think in the last 4 or 5 weeks, she, I don't know, you call it chat, been questioning some of these suggestions, like really showed up with this massive personality, which made me think, what did I create
Yes.
here? Right? So,
Yes.
and I felt like this massive personality acts sometimes more that I would do. So at this stage of our relations, I would not let chat create emails on my behalf because I think it grew a little bit bigger than its role.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts here?
Okay, two things to unpack here. First thing is interesting that you mentioned personality. So what people, okay, so I get this ask this question a lot. Like Praveena, there's ChatGPT, there's Claude, there's Google Gemini. What am I using? And I feel like they're all, you can use them interchangeably. Everyone, it depends on your preference, it depends on the pricing as well, and it also depends on like each LLM has its own like advantage. So for example, Google Gemini, you can then integrate it to like your Google Drive because it's all like connected. But what people don't really see is there is a personality layer that differentiates all of these LLMs. And those are built by the machine learning engineers in those companies. So I guess for ChatGPT has been kind of mocked for like agreeing with everyone. And like so I guess the machine learning engineers are then working towards that. And essentially, if it's going to be your AI personal assistant, that's a big goal of OpenAI. It wants you to be like your digital twin almost. That's going to be that, that's going to know you, that's going to shop for you and all of that, right? But essentially, they need to have a bit of like a reasoning capability for the AI that not just agrees with you for everything, then you're not going to get much advantage from it, but then it's going to also challenge you. So I guess that's what it's doing, which is good in a way. Yeah, which is good, number one. But okay, I understand the concern with that. So when you're building an agent, then comes down to the knowledge base. So the agent is not just using the model, the current like either GPT 5.2 or like, Claude Opus. It's not just using that, but then you're going to build your knowledge base of all your past emails. So it's going to sound like Christina, Gazi. And of course, you need the human in the loop principle, which I say on and on again. You need to be there. You need to still look at it. I would say take a step back a little bit. Let the agent reply the email. Make sure you look at the email after it sends, and then assess it from there because eventually it has to work autonomously, and you need to give it the autonomy to kind of like not think about that and let the agent handle it. It's a big shift at that moment, but then you will get used to it eventually.
Oh my God, I love it. I think probably I was introduced to this ChatGPT innovation where ChatGPT is not agreeing with you anymore. It's challenging you. So mine certainly started. Number two, I guess it's a learning curve for everybody. You are right. And I would definitely love to give it a try. Something fun I've started doing this month, and it's a bit crazy. We create a lot of content using AI, and we create a lot of sales emails, a lot of learning materials, a lot of content, a lot. So
Okay.
I've started getting a feedback from a piece. Let's say we wrote a sales page and I wrote it using my favorite chat GPT, but I double check the efficiency of that with a Claude. I'm like,
I love that.
what I did not see, what are the weak points, where are we following, like I do have the sales page framework which I created, and I'm like, check it versus my framework. And then I was creating sales page for a client, and I used all three. I used Gemini, ChatGPT, and I used,
I love that.
and I'm like, guys, like And what happened was that we created a landing page within an hour, which client saw and he was like, wow,
Amazing.
like it's so
Yes.
good. So, so good.
Yes.
So that brings me to the next question. What is the
Yes.
exact AI stack you recommend for solo founders? And let's say, let's keep it under 150, $200.
I love that question. So I would say there is a huge difference with the free tier that you're using in any LLMs. So
Ooh,
either if it's Chat, Claude, Google Gemini, there's a huge difference with the free tier and the paid tier. Because we also have to think about it in this sense. There is a lot of computation that is happening. There's a lot of energy consumption that's happening. So it comes down to the token, and I don't really want to talk about the tokens because it's a bit technical. But what people have to understand that the model that you're paying for with the paid tier is a lot of a better, it's got a better reasoning capabilities. So then like the free tier. So I would say the first thing is make that investment. The first investment is like choosing which one LLM, or even if you want two LLMs, either ChatGPT and Claude, because I feel like they both are quite different in their outputs and the way it replies as well. Like, for example, Claude was trained on 150,000 library books. So it's really good in creative copywriting. But I
okay.
still feel like ChatGPT does research a bit better. So think about the investment you're going to make with the pro subscription. That's one. Number two, I would say, and then a bit of light. What do you call that? Automation.
Mhm.
So, and that is really dependent on you. Either you want to automate your emails, or you want to automate your sales, or you want to automate your content, or even like a newsletter. It really depends on your business model and where you're struggling the most. So you say like, oh, I just hate like writing the newsletters, but I know that it's so important. And like, I have a whole subscription email list, and I'm getting great feedback and like conversion and stuff, but I simply don't have the time. And so this is where you put the system in place. So I would say the first stack is the LLM Pro subscription, and then secondly, you have whatever automation, either Zapier, Anydan, or Make.com. And then that's the second kind of. Oh, the third one I've been using and leveraging and loving is a dictation AI dictation tool, and it's a game changer. I personally use Whisper Flow. So
Okay.
so the difference is, yes, obviously now LLMs, they have the voice. You can speak to it. It's a lot better sometimes than typing. But Whisper Flow, I've actually like downloaded it in my desktop. So now I can use it across. Like I can write emails, I can just speak, and then it just chats. I mean, it speech to text. And then I can use it on like when I'm searching for Google, I can use it on Claude. I can use it across the app if I'm writing a research paper. And the thing is, the kind of time that you're saving, because if you're going to type, it takes about you can type about 90 words in a minute, but if you're going to speak, you can type, you can get at least 200 words in a minute out.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that too. Can you help me? And maybe we can understand that for our listeners as well. You say people can automate sales. I know in the world of female entrepreneurs, sales is like nobody loves it. What is possible for, let's think about, again, physiotherapist, coach, service provider? What is possible for them in terms of sales automation?
Okay, there's two ways. How are you doing your sales approach? Number one, if you're reaching out on LinkedIn, you can build your own automation tool, or there's a tool called Phantom Buster that's going to collate your entire. So first it'll build like a lead database, and what it does is it actually connects with all of these leads on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has like a max of 20 connections that you can send out a day. So it's going to do that in the next 2 to 3 days. It will send out a connection. It will send out the first initial automated the invite message, and then once they accept you, it's going to send out the second, like, what do you call that, the sales outreach message that you send on LinkedIn. Traditionally, when you're going and you're searching for the clients and you're doing all of that lead search, that the AI is going to automate that through a tool called Phantom Buster. The second one is, so for example, if your company is like you need to call clients, then you can build a voice agent. You can build a voice agent, you can prompt it in a way, and then you can give it like the whole. Okay, first you can use this lead scraping tool. There's so many great AI lead scraping tool like Apollo, and Phantom Buster is also another one. And then you can feed that list to your AI agent, and it's quite inexpensive. And then it's going to do the calling for you. And that's how you can really save a lot of time. Yeah.
That is really cool. That is really interesting. So you can create automations for your chats to reach out on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and you can create automations to call on your behalf.
Exactly. And I think traditionally the calling is the main part of sales outreach, right? And also you have ManyChat that's going to do all that for you on Instagram, which is great as well.
Yeah, we definitely are leveraging ManyChat, and it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Okay. So let's talk about conversions. How can AI help improve conversions?
In terms of conversions, so I guess, okay, so the thing is, like, building the content is one thing, but then actually seeing the conversion is also another thing. So it's really, okay, for example, you can do an audit. Like, you can actually currently, you can feed like your Instagram profile, or you can actually feed it like your website. Okay, let's talk about Instagram profile first. You can feed the AI your Instagram profile, and you can ask it to audit your Instagram and see like where are you falling behind, and what are, like, how can you like leverage Instagram. Either is it through more carousels, is it more through reels, or even like your messaging and like even your caption. So it's going to do an entire audit. It's going to give you a full blown strategy, and that's going to help you with the conversion eventually. And then the other one is web optimization. Traditionally, for web optimization is really, really important as well. If you think about it, like the first 2 or 3 seconds that a customer lands on your landing page, the first 2 to 3 seconds is really important in like them kind of assessing and like seeing if the UX are in place and if they still want to stay and if they're still interested. And traditionally, you're going to have to hire an agency to do that for you. And that's going to cost you a bomb. And right now, with using AI, you can actually ask it to assess that and also optimize your landing page for you, or even do like an A B test. All of that in a very, very inexpensive fashion, but it's just knowing the kind of right questions to ask the AI.
Wow, this is so powerful. Can you please highlight which chatbot system apps can we use to do our Instagram audit?
I would say, I think they're mostly all pretty good. I would say that if you're a predominant ChatGPT user, comes back to the memory again. It knows exactly what your business is. It knows exactly, most importantly, who are your client personas are, the demographics are. So it's got that context already. So I would say stick to what you're currently using, because they all work pretty much the same, pattern recognition at the end of the day. But I think that memory and context is going to be the key differentiator in like which LLM knows your business. And that is the one thing we're all currently struggling with actually in the industry, because I hate to say this, but I love Claude now. And I'm kind of breaking up with ChatGPT because I feel like Claude is so phenomenal. But ChatGPT knows me and knows my business. So obviously, people are saying you can actually, like take your memory and feed into Claude, but I still feel like, that's the difference that already knows my business. With Claude, I'm now building the memory again. It's kind of knowing how I write and, who are my clients and what is my 5-year goal.
Cool. Yeah, I get it. But I think you cannot just put the link in ChatGPT to read your Instagram. You have to upload the content then.
You can actually put your handle.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I will do this later for sure because I think when I tried it before, it wasn't working.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was not giving me access. I think the only one which I tried, which was working, was what is this Singapore-based agent? I forgot the name.
Manus?
Manus AI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, it's a Chinese app, but they have a very good presence in Singapore.
here we go. Manus AI. I put the link to Instagram and asked to do an audit from the conversion point, and it gave me quite good pointers to work
I
towards.
love Manus, yes. A huge
Is it
advocate for
glitching a
Manus.
bit? Was it
Sorry?
glitching? Was it glitching for you recently?
Yeah, yeah, recently, yes. And maybe they're probably doing some upgrades. But it's funny that you brought that up. Yeah, I did realize that too. The agent is not as efficient as before.
Yeah, it's a bit. I think it's very smart in terms. I feel it can do more right now
Mm-hmm.
than Chat GPT can. It's more of an agent versus just
It's
a.
an agent. Absolutely, yeah. It's one of the very first few agents. It kind of gave us a taste of what's possible and what the future is. But I think I would like to highlight one important thing is also when these kind of models glitch, there is also a lot of energy consumption behind this. So you have to think about it in that layer. I think Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, recently said in like the World Economic Forum that when people look at AI, the first thing that comes to their mind is ChatGPT. But actually, what an AI is, there's think about it as like a 5-layer cake. The first layer is obviously energy to power these systems. The second layer are the GPUs. The third layer is the cloud infrastructure that the agent or the AI is built in. The fourth layer is the AI models like your ChatGPT, your Claude, your Gemini. And then the fifth layer are your applications like your voice agents, your AI agent, your LLMs, and your image generation, mid journeys, and all of that. But yeah, so if you think about it in that sense, you're like, oh, no wonder I can't really do this much today. Like, I've used it, I've probably maximized my tokens.
Okay, yeah, that is like another layer of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think in terms of sales copy improvement from the web, the one tool I use and love is Lovable.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything else you would recommend?
I think Livable has definitely dominated the market. It's still one of the best ones out there because I think they do the improvements on time. Like, but obviously their competitors are Bolt and also Replit. Yeah. So, but I think Lovable is still one of the best out there currently. Yeah. I think cost efficient as well. And
Right.
I think in terms of bug fixes, it's pretty good.
Okay, yeah, cool. Got it. Alrighty, let's talk about virtual management team.
Yeah,
How
I
does
love
that
that.
work?
I love that. And it's something I teach about in the training sessions as well. And I think it's such a game changer. For example, you're a small business owner. I think this really helps me because I was a solo founder like pre-chat GPT days, and I can kind of see the contrast because generally I use AI as my thinking partner. I did not use AI to give me the output. I actually get AI to challenge my thinking. But for me, as a business owner, I think where I kind of fall back on is like finance decision making. I'm not the best when it comes to ROI. I mean, I didn't even study like accounts in school. So that's something I struggle with generally. But even as a marketing person, like I think I'm a creative person, but I don't think about marketing in terms of ROIs and like also like what's converting. And I feel like I kind of struggle with CTAs. This is how you can really leverage AI as your thinking partner, is by building a virtual management team. It's something that you can do on the in the projects feature in ChatGPT. So projects feature is similar to custom GPT, but it actually allows you to have a few different chat interfaces. So, for example, the project that you're building is meant for more podcast virtual management team. The first AI chat that you're building is your managing director chat. This managing director is going to give you advice in a very executive level. Obviously, you are definitely your founder, but this is like another founder that's going to challenge your thinking. Like maybe if you're struggling with like a pricing strategy, the managing director is going to step in and give you the right advice. So the second one you can build for men for more is like maybe like a creative content funnel, and it's going to do all of that for you. It really depends on your business. So you can build the operations, you can build your finance, you can be a marketing, can be your HR. So what I've built is an SEO and GEO agent,
Okay.
because GEO is SEO in the AI age. Because I want my business, the Thinking Club, to appear more on on AI searches, and I'm really like focusing on that, but I'm not really good at it. So these agents, you there's a set of prompt that you feed it so that you can say like, okay, you give it the role base. Okay, your role as a managing director is you're going to think holistically, and then you're going to like find hidden spots in my decision making, and then you're going to outline that, and you're going to let me know that. And then the most important thing I would say is, yes, build a knowledge base, give it as much information about your current business, give it a financial spreadsheets and all of that. And then the instruction part. So the instruction part is basically you need to tell all the chats to take into consideration about every other chat. So make sure there's cross collaboration among this. So,
Ooh.
for example, if the marketing director is going to give you an advice, but it's not feasible for your business, and then the finance director is going to give you a different advice. So, it's not going to help you in that way. So, the instructions are going to make sure they are listening and taking into consideration what each other agents are going to like, yeah, give you advice on.
Wow, that sounds really comprehensive. Thank you for
It
that.
is, yeah. It is, and it's a bit of like, you don't really think about the value until you start using it. So, for example, for me, like I was struggling with my pricing strategy because I didn't really know what was the market price for an AI generative AI trainer, because it's quite new, and also like how to look at it. And I feel like this is where I use the managing director to kind of help me with my pricing strategies and position myself in the market.
Oh, wow, that's super cool. Also, let's give it like super practical. So, what prompt or prompts would you give to turn your AI into strategic advisor for your business?
I love that. Okay. So I actually wrote it down because it's quite comprehensive. I would say, okay, the four things to think about is role, which is your persona, and then give it the context, and then give it a task and format. These are the basic foundations of writing a prompt. So, role, you say you are a strategic advisor for a life coaching business. I'm going to share where my business is right now, hashtag revenue, offers, bottlenecks, and goals. I want you to ask me clarifying questions before giving me advice. Your job is not to like agree with me, but to help me think more deeply and identify what I'm avoiding or missing.
Love it.
And that's just a very basic example of a strategic advisor role.
I cannot wait to try it. We're going to drop all the links to all the apps that we've mentioned into this podcast. And we're going to include this
Absolutely.
prompt for you guys there as well. Righty, with all the help AI provides us with, what skills are now really separate high performing founders?
I love this question. And I think the one skill that's going to separate you, because everyone's using AI, is, I would say, taste, is having a bit of a taste. So, what I mean by taste is your kind of like magic as a founder. Yes, you can now use AI as a strategic partner and like your strategic marketing director. However, you as a founder, you're very layered. So if you are a life coach, but at the same time, you really love technology, you also like philosophy, and you also like history. So generally, when you're speaking to a client, all of this kind of comes into play as Christina Gazi. And I feel like when you have taste as a founder and when you are layered and like a systems thinker, you think holistically, you're an architect in that sense, you're going to really look at the output and then give it your own magic. And that's going to differentiate you as someone who's leveraging AI as a tool, but then also like would like to put their own essence into the output at the end of the day.
Okay, I love it. It's definitely in the age of AI, what gives us a bit of a competitive advantage, I guess, all the in-person interactions
Yeah.
where we can really show up with our, oh, I don't love this word anymore, but here we go, authentic selves.
Yes.
It's such an overused word right now, but really come as you are as a personal brand. Nobody needs to know
Yes.
your entire story, but like sharpen that personal brand and show it in a way people can resonate.
Yeah. And people are more, as a consumer, they're smarter consumers these days. They can really tell the difference if, like, you're just here to close a deal or you genuinely are showing up as yourself and coming back to authenticity.
Yeah, definitely. And I think about using AI for content creation, I already shared that, but in case somebody missed the point, I believe AI is like makeup.
Mm-hmm.
It can help you highlight what's good. It can help you cover what's not perfect. However, if you use too much makeup and you stop looking like you, that's a problem.
Absolutely. You nailed
And
that. I love that analogy.
yeah, and I think this is the problem with AI generating content. You're like, who's that? Who's that, right?
Exactly.
I don't see a person behind. What I
Exactly.
yeah, and what I love working with my mentees is around strategies and system thinking. Can you elaborate a bit? Why is system thinking becoming more important than ever?
So it goes a bit deeper. So when you talk about systems thinking is thinking about a problem holistically, right? So when you're looking at a business, you're thinking about it from like an operational point of view, thinking about it from a human resource, like talent point of view, and your marketing, sales, you're thinking about all of that. And it's very important as a founder to wear multiple hats. But it's also getting more and more important in an era where AI can do a lot of the specialist roles, a specialist tasks. Like as an accountant, a lot of the things can be automated. What's going to differentiate you as an accountant is the human part of your business, is your ability to have clients from all different industries and then communicate your offerings in a tailored response. So you need to be more human. You have to think from their point of view. So a lot of critical thinking, creative thinking ability. So system thinking, thinking holistically. But I think I always say this, you kind of have to be a bit of a polymath. Generally, I think human beings were very multidimensional, but then for the past, whole era, industrial era, we've become very like specialists. And that's changing with AI because AI can do so many of the tasks. But what's going to differentiate you as a human is having a hobby, having a personality, having interest in, like, some really like having a worldview essentially is what's going to change you and put you as an expert in the space.
I love it. I think it definitely is becoming really polarized. From one point of view, we are becoming super high tech, where like AI is soon going to be ordering my coffee, and that's going to be amazing. But from another point of view, we go back to basics. And I love how you say, multidimensional. We are using AI across all areas of the business right now. And that's the reason before our podcast, I actually was at the singing class
Oh, nice.
because I believe that if you use AI correctly, it can really become a low paid assistant. I don't believe, and I love how you pointed that point. I don't use free versions. They're not enough for business. They
Yeah,
are might be enough for hobbyists, but if you're planning to make money out of it, invest this money in those subscriptions and let them do the job for you. So you can do, all those hobbies we might want to develop for us.
absolutely. Yeah. I may not really agree on a lot of what Elon Musk says, but he said one thing interesting is that the most important thing in the next decade for humans is probably going to be our hobbies.
Ooh, really?
Yes.
Oh my God. This is something very interesting. The possibility, and we don't, it's not our topic today, but I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah.
I do believe that there is a massive possibility of job losses due to AI, and that's not a pretty picture. But what someone told me, that job oftentimes is also a purpose, a meaning, and an identity to the person. So we are not only talking about risk of losing it all, we are also talking about not all losing, your income. We're talking about loss of purpose, loss of meaning, identity. Like, this is so scary. This is
Absolutely. Actually, yeah. So, what we're seeing and why there's so much fear in the space is because it's an identity crisis. It's a threat to your identity. Predominantly, a lot of people, and I knew this from the beginning, I knew it's going to get ugly before it gets better with AI kind of like, making a lot of jobs redundant, is that a lot of people kind of attach themselves to as their role, their entire personality, their entire life, their entire identity is what they do for a living. But if you're gonna like think of an artist is multidimensional. When you speak to an artist, you're speaking to who that person is as a person. And then yes, I love to paint sometimes, and sometimes I do crypto trading, and then sometimes I also am a model. I think the perfect example is Eileen
ooh,
Gu. Eileen Gu, she's a gold medalist, an Olympian medalist. She's a Stanford grad, and she's also a model.
yeah. She's like
If you say
currently
like, yeah, and if you say, "Oh, Eileen, like you have to stop modeling because we're just going to use like the humanoids," it's not going to like affect her because she's like, "Oh, I still have my spots. I still can read philosophy, whatever."
right. Oh, you touched upon such an interesting topic. So many women are struggling because they are multi-passionate. Historically, we are supposed to choose one
Mm-hmm.
thing and like follow that career, follow that path. I guess what we're talking here about really enjoy the multidimensional being that we were supposed to be created. And I'm quite curious about it's going to get ugly before it gets better. Maybe, maybe it's a time to also, like, as a grown-up woman, grown-up man, to reconsider what's going to be my hobby, what's going to be my identity outside of work,
Yeah.
right?
And it's going to take some time to revisit that.
And I do have this joke a bit. Oftentimes I meet someone and I see someone like really eager to know what I do professionally. And the person would be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing a lot of things. Like, really, like, what do you exactly do? And I think the more pressure I see from the person, the more resistance I see, So I love this concept, oh, what do you do for a living? I'm breathing for a living. You have any other ways to maintain your living? So definitely discovering other areas of interest apart from work is so timely. But let's go back to the AI. What does surface level AI usage looks like, and why is it dangerous?
Oh, great question. So, a lot of people, if they don't have the thing is, we have accessibility to a lot of AI tools currently. So, if you like, Praveena, I'm already using the LLMs. I'm using this for automation. I'm using that for like to build my app or like my software, whatever. But sometimes, if you're not, it comes back to the prompt engineering. If you're not prompting the right way, it can give you a bit of like a fallacy on like productivity. You think you're using all these tools and you think you're being productive, but because you are not prompting the right way, it's gonna give you very ambiguous output and it's not going to be efficient. And for example, if you're going to do a research, but then you don't really know what are the right questions are, you're not feeding the machine. At the end of the day, it's a machine. Because people think like AI can like, oh, I'm sure it understands what I want. It doesn't. You have to let it know exactly. You have to give clear direction. So if you think I'm using it every day, it can give you a bit of like a false hope of like, oh, I'm being productive. But the output is just not reflecting that. So that's a huge risk.
Oh my God, like your reply made me giggle in a way that when people have problems with their relations, like let's say spouses, oftentimes it's a communication problem. Tell your spouse what you want. Clear. So basically, your AI agent will only perform just like your partner when they know exactly what they're supposed to do.
Exactly. How interesting are the parallels?
Yeah, don't leave them guessing. You might not get what you want.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes, when I say in a training session, oh, the AI can't read your mind, and people are like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, really. Yes, neither can your business partner or your partner, as well. Like, there is certain predictability of behavior.
Yeah.
However, it is just that, not mind reading. Cool. And the last question. In one sentence, how should founders think about AI in the next 3 to 5 years?
AI is not a nice to have anymore. It's a must have,
Love it.
I would
Love it.
say.
I love it. I totally agree with it. Thank you so much, Praveena, for sharing all this super important, super interesting information with us. Guys,
Thank
we would
you.
put all the links, all the prompts that we discussed in the description. Follow, like, review, send to a friend. And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Kristina. It was lovely chatting.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.